post independence. Post independence architecture. Post independence architecture. So they followed two styles. One is revivalist, next one is modern. Okay, in post independence architecture in India, I am talking about India, the post independence consisting of revivalist architecture and next thing is modernist architecture. So revivalist is means what? Reviving the past elements. But the point here is, even though they thought they are reviving the ancient feature, but still they are under the colonial hangover. They are under the colonial hangover. That means they still imitated the features of British. They still imitated the features. They still imitated the features of British India. That is, I used the word colonial hangover. Our administration is majorly consisting of colonial hangover, the IPC, CRPC, all this civil procedure code, all these things consisting of what? British only. Okay, PD Act in this Britishers to contain the voices. Still we are following. No country in the world is following the PD Act. Preventive Detention Act. Sedition Act, no country in the world followed, but still we are continuing the Sedition Act. Okay, 124A of IPC. So still they imitated the features. For example, best example is what? The Chandigarh city. The Chandigarh city, in the name of revivalist, they still imitated the foreign influence. Who is the architect of Chandigarh city? Who is the architect of Chandigarh city? Lee Corbusier. The Chandigarh city architect is Lee Corbusier. Who belongs to which nationality? He is the French, who constructed the city in 1960. That is the reason in 2016 it got the status of UNESCO World Heritage Site. UNESCO World Heritage Site. UNESCO World Heritage Site. Chandigarh city. That means the Chandigarh city is actually considered again the French influence. Again with the French. Of course they followed the IVC pattern, but again introduced the elements of the French. That is they want revivalist, but again they followed the colonial structure. So Chandigarh city. And next example is, if you can say, a very important person whose name is Lowry Baker. Lowry Baker, not Herbert Baker, is popularly known as architect of the poor. Lowry Baker, not Herbert Baker. Lowry Baker is the architect of the poor, popularly known as architect of the poor. Majorly, his constructions are traced back to Kerala. His constructions are traced back to Kerala. Okay, because his architectural elements based for poor, based in favor of poor. In favor of poor, the architectural elements are there. Okay, the less usage, he reduced the usage of cement, steel. He reduced the usage of cement and so cement and steel are obviously the costly, which the poor cannot afford. which the poor cannot afford. That is the reason he reduced the usage of cement and steel. He adopted environmental friendly adoption. He adopted environmental friendly adoption of houses with locally available materials. With locally available materials. Environmental friendly adoption of houses with locally available material. So that means what? Indirectly, which is very favor for the poor. That is the reason he is popularly called as architect of the poor. He is popularly called as architect of the poor. Okay. And many houses are consisting of filler slab method used, which is the ancient old practice. He followed the filler slab method. So we follow the filler slab and beam. So he followed the filler slab method, which is the older method. Okay. And next thing is, because of locally available material, they are followed thermobalance, nothing but the heat balance, because India known for the hot climate, to escape from the hot climate. Adaptation to hot climate. Adaptation to hot climate, which is an adaptation to hot climate. Okay, so that's all about the post-independence. A very famous person, Lowry Baker, is very got the epithet of architect of the poor with local available materials. That means he adopted the environmental friendly adaptations.